Chargebacks, they're a reseller's nightmare, but they don't have to keep you up at night. On the other side of the intro, I'm going to talk to you all about chargebacks, what they are, and best practices so that you don't get burned the next time or the first time you encounter a chargeback. So without any further ado, let's go. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is John from Flippin Ain't Easy. And for those of you who've never watched my videos before, I'm a full-time reseller, mainly on eBay, and I do YouTube videos to help educate other resellers, bring them up to speed, share my experiences. And if you're a reseller or thinking about reselling, and this is the type of video that you like or enjoy, please first of all, like this video. Smash that like button, and if it is the type of video you'd like to watch, please consider subscribing to my channel. We're about 5,600 subs and we're growing, and your subscription would be very much appreciated. And if you already have a subscription to my channel, thank you, and consider hitting that notification bell so that you're notified the next time I make a video. Chargebacks, they don't have to be a nightmare. And for most people, they stink. So let me start off with the first most obvious thing and obvious question that you might have. What is a chargeback? A chargeback is a tool that the credit card companies give the consumer to be able to dispute a transaction when they think something is not right with the transaction. It could be they don't recognize the transaction that they've seen on their credit card statement. It could be that they've received something other than what was described. It could be that they were a victim of credit card fraud. And it could be that they had a problem with the item and they weren't able to work it out with the merchant. And the chargeback is a tool that allows the consumer or the credit card holder the opportunity to not get burned on a deal. Okay? And I myself have been involved in chargebacks on both sides of the coin, meaning that I've been involved with chargebacks as both a buyer and a seller. And both were involving my eBay business. One when I was sourcing, and the other one when I've made a couple sales on eBay, and for whatever reason, the buyers decided to file a chargeback. And we'll get into that in here in just a minute. But I just wanted to kind of give you an idea what the chargeback is. So what happens with a chargeback, the buyer will then go to their credit card company. Usually it just starts with a phone call. They'll get them on the phone and say, hey, this transaction here that I made on eBay, let's just use eBay as a reference point. This particular transaction I made on eBay, I didn't recognize the charge, or it wasn't as described, or anything, you know, it was just, or they're not allowing me to return the item, that kind of thing. So they go to the credit card company, and the credit card company will then go in and they will immediately remove the charge from the customer's credit card, their transaction history, and they'll put it into like a pending state. What they then do is they contact the merchant, which in this case would be eBay, and let them know that the customer is starting a chargeback. And eBay is pretty quick from my experience about getting that message to you, the seller. But what the credit card company tells that buyer is that they are going to need to follow up with more information. So for instance, if the transaction isn't as described, it's not enough for the buyer just to call the credit card company. The credit card company wants to make sure that this is utilized properly. And so they will ask the buyer to provide supplemental information. For instance, they may ask them to provide information regarding the transaction, what it is they expected to receive, anything that supports their case as a buyer who feels like they were not treated fairly in the transaction. Now, it gets sent over to eBay, and then eBay contacts the seller and lets them know that funds are being withheld from your account because of the chargeback situation, and eBay will usually contact you and give you an opportunity to respond to that chargeback. And from my experience and experience from others that I've actually spoken to, usually it's a situation where they allow you to upload a photo or a file. And in this video, I'm just going to touch on some of the best practices that you should be following. But I just want you to know that just because a chargeback is filed doesn't mean that you've lost. I've won 2 cases out of 2 chargebacks against me, and I absolutely credit the fact that I was very diligent. I didn't let time pass. I really got my information together and submitted that information over to eBay, and because of that, I was successful. And also on the buyer side, I was also successful in dealing with the chargeback situation, and on that, it was also due to me being very diligent, being very thorough, and being very clear with the information that I provided. And a lot of times I hear stories about sellers who were dealing with a chargeback situation, and it didn't have to end up the way it did. And while the story feels incomplete that I've read, some of these stories, in the sense that it didn't seem like they may have been timely with the response. It didn't seem like some of these seller stories where they took the time to really provide information to supplement their argument. And it doesn't have to be that way. So one of the first things I would recommend, if you happen to encounter a chargeback, and you may not have encountered one, but if you're a seller on this platform, or really any platform, it's going to happen to you eventually if you sell enough items. As soon as you receive the chargeback notification from eBay, you have to get on it. You have to contact eBay and supply them with as much information as they request. And I would even go as far as providing them even more information than that to prove your case. So, for instance, if the buyer says item not as described, well, hopefully there's some information that they provided that will support what they're trying to claim. And a lot of times, because they're providing that information to the credit card company, the credit card company then passes that information on to eBay. In the situation that I had, it was a $1,200 server that I had received in a liquidation lot, and someone bought this server. It was brand new. It was very, very clean, and I shipped it out promptly and heard nothing from anyone until 60 days after the transaction. And at that point, it was from eBay, and eBay sent me a notification for the chargeback along with a laundry list of what the buyer tried to say. They tried to say that it was dented up, it was dinged up, and it smelled had a burned smell to it. Like I sent them a server that was all burnt up. And that's all the information I pretty much received. But I knew that was enough that I can come back and provide all the tracking information, all the photos, and I made reference to those photos that were in the listing. And I wrote up a one-page little rebuttal that stated the obvious. If there was a problem with this transaction, the buyer would have contacted me. I received no message from the buyer. And as a footnote, if you're a seller and you deal with a chargeback, just know this, that part of the requirements that a buyer has, unless it's a fraud situation, whereas they may have noticed some fraudulent charges on their credit card, any other reason that they selected to perform the chargeback, the buyer is supposed to contact the merchant, which is you, the seller, and try to resolve the situation. So, item not as described, hey, I didn't recognize this charge. all those sort of things. They're supposed to make an effort to resolve this situation with you, the seller, or eBay, but eBay will actually have them contact you. A lot of times, and the two chargebacks that I've won, one was the one I described, the other one was they tried to say that they didn't recognize the charge. It was a Yale door lock that they had for their front door, and I'm willing to bet I could go to their house and remind them by knocking on the front door that this is what you bought from me and you're using it right now, but you're trying to say you don't remember buying the item. But in either case, neither customer reached out to me. And in my rebuttal, I reminded them that it is required that the customer reach out to me in case of item not as described or the other particular chargeback. And in both cases, that was not done, and I was not given the opportunity to resolve the problem for the customer. Things like item not as described. If they try to describe it one way and versus another, again, their lack of contacting you really doesn't make them look good. But if you have any supplemental information, what I would do is write up a Word document explaining your side of the situation, what you recall about the sale, make reference to the item, which has all the photos, so they can look themselves. The credit card companies will do this research, and explain why you feel this chargeback is unwarranted. And that's exactly what I did, and it worked for me. I can only tell you from my experience, and that is what I would recommend. But do respond in a timely manner. Spend the hour. I know it's time away from your business and it stinks. If it's a loss you can absorb, we're talking like a $20 deal and it's just not worth your time, respond with minimal information in a timely manner and just see what happens. But, you know, for me, it's also about principle. And many things I do, and some of you guys don't agree out there, I spend time to deal with stuff and it takes time away from my day, and fine, that's on me. It's not on you. I'm trying to help you guys obtain this information, but also it's about principle. I want to know that at the end of the day, I was honest, I treated the customer fairly, and in return, I expect to be treated fairly as well. And if we have scammers, these people that go on and think they can play the system, well, I've got news for you, for many of you sellers who didn't know, that it's not that easy. Now, again, customers can say what they want to the bank. They can follow up and provide whatever information they feel they want to tell that bank. But at the end of the day, their story is going to have to make sense. It's going to have to add up. And a lot of times, these customers win because you as a seller don't respond in a timely manner, and when you do, you don't provide enough information to back up your claim. And so that is the video I wanted to share with you today. I just wanted to educate you guys on this. It is not the end of the world. Please start right now by, on a daily basis, check your messages. Check all of your messages. That are the messages from eBay, that are messages from your buyer. Because your buyer can tell the credit card company, I reached out to that seller and they didn't respond. And if there's records of that and you didn't respond, that's not going to bode well for your case. So make it a point on a daily basis, check your messages, make sure you respond to every customer, no matter how ridiculous the question may seem. And if you ever receive that chargeback notification from eBay, make sure you stop what you're doing and respond and provide eBay with as much information as you can. So what do you guys think? Please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell. So guys, put your questions down below. Comment down below what you think about the topic today about chargebacks. Share your chargeback story. Tell me if you did follow those tips, immediately contacting eBay with the information and being as thorough as possible with that information to support your case. Tell me how that went for you if you did those two things, It's no guarantee that you're going to win the case, but it's going to increase your odds dramatically. Trust me. I just really, it bothers me when I see a lot of you post these things about chargebacks and how you've lost the chargebacks, and it just makes me wonder if you provided that information or not. So guys, I'm going to leave you with that. Thank you for watching my videos. I truly, truly appreciate each and every one of you. I just want you guys to keep listing, keep making those sales, and always know this and never forget, flipping ain't easy, and I will see you here very soon.